All right. So what are we looking at? We're looking at Auto Nation Nissan of Las Vegas. I do not handle this store. I've actually never spoken to anybody from this store. I'm just using this store as an example. It's the first one I thought of. I wanted to make sure we have an anonymous example. Anybody watching this that works for the store, again, my intention is just to bring up something I see in the industry. Okay. So oftentimes what I hear about dealers' websites is they lack in customer service, whatever provider they're using. There's always stuff that's broken. There's always really slow support and things like that. So what are we supposed to do? And it makes me think of how do we prioritize the most impactful changes that's going to yield to a better customer experience, more leads, and more sales rather than focusing on the minutia that is more time wasting or things that we can just get to later. So this video is all about focusing on the priorities of your digital website and how to determine those priorities. So what we're going to do is go through analytics and decide how we prioritize things. And again, David Feldman-Makrias here, back with you and looking forward to helping you guys navigate this. So let's do that right now. Now, these are some examples. Before I get into the priorities, these are some examples of what I hear dealer team members tell me. So, example, I'm looking at the homepage. I'm going to look at the top navigation, and I'm going to click commercial vehicles because it's one of the main links up here. And I have 11 vehicles, and everything I see on here is actually a Nissan Frontier, which typically I don't think of as a commercial vehicle. It might be in this market. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a certain fleet deal they have. I don't know. There might be a reason. There's one Nissan Titan, but generally we don't think as of Frontiers as commercial vehicles. When we looked at used inventory and we go to used commercial vehicles, again, these are types of commercial vehicles: big trucks, vans, could be a smaller truck, but usually big, heavy duty trucks. And even when we go to use, there are none in stock. So why do we even have this page? This is an example of something a dealer would come to me and say, David, my website provider sucks. My digital marketing agency sucks. My website, whoever's in charge of my website sucks. Can you fix it? So I get it. This is more of like a perception of how your store looks. And there's so many different things you can dive into. But what are the priorities? How do we determine those priorities? And how should we fix these type of things? One thing I do recommend for this is that since it's on the top navigation, that's kind of a bigger deal, right? Are those really the right commercial vehicles? Well, we should probably display them correctly. But that actually leads to the question, how do we know what pages we should put in here? Should all just be speculative? Should we click through each page? Do they even get traffic? That's what I want to go through now. And I'm going to give you a surefire way to help determine that I don't see a lot of people using, but it's a surefire way to help determine which pages you need to focus on optimizing for in the order of importance based on traffic to your website. I'm going to give you that very simply, very easily, that you can look up in your analytics right now, or you can go to whoever handles your website or marketing and ask them for a very simple report and make a very specific action plan on how to properly make your website awesome. So let's do that right now. All right. So we're in Google Analytics because we're trying to figure out how we prioritize the most actionable, impactful, significant changes to our website because there's a plethora, right? And we only have so much time in the day. So one way that we do this that we found to be super effective is I'm going to go in Analytics. And instead of using the user acquisition report, I'm actually going to go to a different report. I'm going to look up engagement, pages, and screens. And what that's going to do, and I did in the last 28 days, is that's going to default to this report here, which I'm going to show you more in depth, but I have to use a different tool to protect the identity of the store. But essentially, this is going to tell us by views what the most traffic pages are. And that's going to allow us to say, okay, are all the pages and all the things that we look at, does it even relevant? Or does it even relevant? Is it even relevant? And does it even consider us to be worth the time to actually fix this? Or maybe we should just remove it. So that's what we're going to look at. And I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so this is a report It's actually from the same store. You see the same amount of views, and it's last 28 days. And I'm going to zoom in on here. But basically, what I did is I exported this report for like the top 50 pages and screens in analytics, and I'm descending by order of views because the descending by order of views is essentially the descending amount of digital eyeballs looking at the pages. So when we go to, what's our example? Commercial vehicles, like this is in the top navigation, it's got prime real estate. You would think a lot of people click on this, and we should probably correct this and make this right, right? Well, let's take a look at what our report says. Now, I don't actually have it for that dealer, but I want you to keep this in mind as we go through things. So I'm going to read the first 10 or so, and we'll skim the rest. So this backslash here, that represents 9,600 total views to the website. What does the backslash mean? The backslash actually means the homepage because there's nothing after it. That is essentially the homepage. So that tells me, hey, we got to look at our homepage first. How does it display? How does it show? And by heat maps, you actually know that anything below the fold or below the first couple scrolls really don't mean a lot. So what that means is if I go back to our example, again, this is not the analytics for this store. I just want to use this store as an example. This top section, this is the most important section. This is where it's getting all the eyeballs. And this is where we're directing people. Once we start to scroll past this, you're going to see less and less and less and less activity. So it's not as important, right? So that's something we should fix. All right, let's look back into this guy here. So we have, what's number 2? We have search new. So that is the nomenclature for this website as all of the new inventory. That is an SRP. So that's essentially when we go in here, we click new and go to new inventory. Again, this link is different, but I'm showing you what an example would be. This is the second most trafficked page and click path. So we need to make sure this is optimized towards the best degree. So we're giving you the order of importance. Now, this might be a little bit different for your store in question, and that's why you need to actually look at this report to determine that. I will say 9 times out of 10, your homepage, your new inventory, your used inventory, and your service pages, those are the top 4 of pages you should look at, right? Everything else, you're going to get onesie twosies in comparison. But let's actually keep looking around. So I blocked all this off because to keep the privacy of the store, but you can see search. Now this is used, search, new, all inventory, new, used, new, used. So a lot of this has to do with new, used, and searching those inventories. So your inventory pages are extremely significant, right? Then we have at number 15 with 398 views, cars under $20,000. Okay, so as a percentage, though, when we get to number 15, look at this. 398 views out of 81,000. Let's do that again. 398 views out of 81,000. That's not much. Okay? To put it in significance, the homepage gets a little bit more than 10% of all the views. Your inventory pages get a giant chunk of all the views, probably maybe 50, 60% of the entire website. So when we're talking about modifying other pages, even this page, I would say it's important to do, but it's a lot less important to do than all these other pages up above it. And what we determined of those pages, their inventory pages and the homepage, it's not that huge of a deal. Although we should make it right. Those are the one-off ancillary pages that we should make right. But it's not that big of a deal, right? Under $20,000, I think is better now. But again, in the grand scheme of things, what is this? I mean, let's do the math really quick. 398 divided by 81,000. You're looking at 0.5% of traffic. That's nothing. 0.5%. That's literally nothing. So the rest of these pages, they really don't mean anything, right? In terms of page views. Now, you may want to cross-reference this against events, but again, they really don't mean anything. So that essentially says that a bunch of this stuff, I mean, these are all inventory, But this used commercial, maybe cars under 10,000, this commercial vehicles, the financing page, they may be completely irrelevant, right? So again, when we're looking at stuff to do, we have a limited amount of time. We got to figure out the most impactful thing to do right away. And that's why this report is so good. And when we scroll down, I mean, oftentimes we're looking at the careers page, but this is less than 0.5% of traffic in this instance. If you're not running ads to your careers, very few people are going to go and check out your careers page. I'm sorry, you maybe get a form or two a month if you're lucky. Maybe you get more than that. Again, there's one-off pages or one-off dealerships that have examples. Dealership staff, I find more dealers look at this page than anything else. It's really just that. It's not to entertain customers and get sales and things like that. It's just, that's kind of what I see, right? Because dealers are competitive. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have it standing tall, but you need to make sure the most important things are really, really good first. You can arguably, if you had a timeline for optimizing your entire website, you could arguably in a year spend 11 months and 28 days, right? 11 months and 28 days focusing on the homepage and your inventory page. And then you could have 2 days focused on all the rest and whatever you get to. That would be an appropriate usage of time. And that's the point I want to drive home. A lot of the stuff that we do, especially on the website, and we focus in on and we hone this and hone that and blah, 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 are really not that significant. And we're missing out on the things that are the most significant, right? So just because maybe we optimized our homepage 3 months ago and we think we're done, and now we get to go to optimizing the commercial vehicles page, let's say, that could be wrong, right? We should re-optimize our homepage and test things maybe every month. Maybe we should have a more condensed timeline for the things that we really need to make important. Optimizing once every 3 months or maybe even once a month is not so good. How are we testing? We need to focus on the big hitters, right? A lot of people advertise on Google. Why? Because Google is trackable, measurable, and when people go there, they're hand raisers. They essentially raise their hand and say, I'm interested in that. So saturate those people first. That's why a lot of dealers and a lot of just overall companies are going to Google for advertising. And then it goes into other more awareness-based advertising as well, which is still really powerful. So long story short, how do we effectively utilize this? Conclusion, pull this report. You might be surprised, right? Go to Google Analytics or have your marketing company do it. Go to Pages and Screens, do a last 28 days or last 90 days, and pull your top pages. Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? And then I would evaluate how much time, if you have a set time to go through your website every month, let's say you commit 5 hours of your team's time to go through your website every month. How much time are you breaking out for each one of these pages? And what kind of results have you been seeing? Those are the types of questions that are going to yield to a better user experience, more engaged audience, better sales activity, and a better use of your advertising, right? And you're going to sell more cars and service more cars because of it. So guys, David Feldman-Makrias here. Hopefully that helps. And I'm going to see you in the next video real soon. Thank you again for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Talk to you later.